joining us on this week's Clubcast. There's so many topics that we discuss. There's so many great guests that we have in the studio to talk about a number of things that are going on. First and foremost, before I get started with our guests, I want to wish everyone a safe time during this pandemic, and just make sure that we're all protecting each other and protecting ourselves and our family and our loved ones. Today, I am super excited to have a former club member and a young man that is not only was he a good club member, he is still doing some of those great things in our communities today. Please help me welcome Joe Crutchfield.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, very, very well.
Nice to meet you again.
Well, you know what's funny? Like, I'm super excited because now I get to sit across from you as a professional. And I could get really wordy about these type of meetings with young people that I see become successful in their careers. And I know that at the Boys and Girls Clubs of St. Lucie County, there's so many staff members that are so excited to know that one of the kids, or now a grown man, is a police officer. And not only just being a police officer, but a police officer in the same community that he grew up in, the same community where he received services from Boys and Girls Clubs. And so I want you and I to just spend some time just kind of having some open dialogue about your experience, and really, not just for you, but more importantly for the community, to see that you can make a difference in your own community.
Most definitely.
So I'm going to start off real quickly. Let's talk about the club that you attended.
Growing up, I attended various amount of different clubs. I started off at the Infinity Tennis Center, directly down the road from where I stayed. So it was very accessible for me. And that was actually my first club that I attended, and that was just a teen club at the moment, but I was like one of the younger kids there, and I basically didn't take no for an answer. Like, if they was outside, I was outside with them. If they went inside, I went inside, even though if I wasn't allowed inside. But it got to a point where they just you can come in. So I actually ended up staying there until I was like 17, and I went over to Macamasholi, the gymnasium on 29th and Avenue D. Started playing basketball and stuff and everything, and I went over to CHU, and that was like a growth spurt, because now I'm a teenager and I got kids up under me, so it's like now I'm their role model.
That's awesome. So a couple of things you said. One of the things that Boys and Girls Clubs across the country, and I think we do a really good job here locally, is you said it was accessible to you, so you could actually walk to your club.
Yes.
And do you think that if you didn't have a place that you could just walk to, you think that you'd have been able to still get to the club?
Back then, no, because Mom didn't have transportation at the time, or whatever the case was, or she was always working. So it was easily to get off the bus, and the Boys and Girls Club directly less than 100 yards away from my house, from the bus stop. So it was always there. So to my mom, it wasn't no excuse why my homework didn't get done.
No, that's exactly, I like that. You had to make sure your homework was done. Let's talk about that experience, because there are a lot of folks that get a little confused about what we do, even though we tell them all the time that we do let kids play the basketball, they play all the sports, they even play some electronic games, but there are some very poignant things that the young kids do and the teens do while they're at the club. Can you walk us through a little bit, like you talked about the homework?
Well, for instance, just say we just got off the bus and it's the start of the Boys and Girls Club day, and there's already staff there waiting on you to get off the bus. First thing they want from you is homework done. You have a snack when you come in, but at first your homework gets done before any extra activities begin. So we always knocked out our homework first. Then it was like programs that we had on a weekly basis, like Passport to Manhood for the teenagers. For the little kids, we did like counting games and stuff like that. Even though it was a game, but at the same time, they didn't even know that they were being tested on their numbers being challenged daily. And so that was actually a good thing that I also like that the Boys and Girls Club gave to us daily.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on another great point. You talk about those enrichment programs. So, you know, every day they're in school and they're learning it the right way to come up with that math equation. But at the Boys and Girls Club, it's a little different.
Exactly.
Kind of trick you into.
Exactly. To trick you into playing.
To playing the game.
I didn't come here to play, but this game is fun.
That's awesome. And I know that there's so many programs. You talk about Passport to Manhood. And that's, to be honest with you, that's one of my favorite programs.
That was the favorite.
Tell me a little bit about that. Why was it your favorite?
It was my favorite because it's hard to open up to a parent at that young age, as a teenager or as just a kid, just to tell them what was going on daily. You don't want to tell them that, hey, you got in trouble or you got into a fight or something like that, or it could have been something that's been on your mind, but you don't want to talk to them about it because you feel like your parent going to criticize you or whatever the case is. It was always easier to talk to a friend or somebody that you just didn't know at all. And that's what I got the feeling at the Boys and Girls Club, because I didn't know these people, so everything was just there an open opinion to me. So when we got a group of men together, we can like get together and talk about, hey man, what we did today or what's going on or whatever. Like, talk to me. And it was easier for us to do that. And to have a older guidance counselor to talk to us about like just life lessons, stuff that we're going to experience or see later in life, it was just amazing to me, because like it prepared me to open my eyes for stuff that I'm seeing now. So I had that push then to see what I'm seeing now. So I really love that program.
That's awesome. And then can you think of any specific person that influenced your life as you were growing up in the Boys and Girls Clubs?
Yes, London Reeves.
Talk about London a little bit.
London was a very outgoing person. He spoke up about everything. He didn't care who you were or whatever the case may be. He let you know how he felt, and he held you to a higher standard. So that's why I can't say about London. London, he pushed me and my twin brother to the extreme. Like, if it didn't go this way, he just didn't let you do it. He really was like a big brother to me, and he still is. And if I didn't know the answer or if I just needed someone to talk to, that was the person to call. Aggravate, whatever the case may be, he was always there. Him and his sister, Megan Reeves.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you know, London ended up going to Boys and Girls Clubs of America.
Yes.
And so he's a part of the Alumni Association, and he does a lot of other things a little bit more globally.
Yes.
For young people.
And when I started the Boys and Girls Club, like I said, I was a kid at the time, but London was a teenager. And so I was looking up to him. Then he became my counselor and my staff member, director to look up to. And now he's moved on, and he's still in the Boys and Girls Club setting. So that speaks a lot of volume.
So tell me about that. Tell me about, so you said London was a teenager.
Yes.
And then you were a younger kid, so he got to mentor you.
Yep.
And then as you got older, you became a mentor to some younger kids.
Yes.
How do you think that? I think we call that junior staff.
Yes.
Right.
Junior
so you were
staff.
junior staff.
Yes.
So talk to me about that program and how it benefited you, even as you look to your current role as a police officer.
Well, junior staff, it really it put you in like well, right now I can use command staff because you was always looking up to somebody or you had someone else looking up to you. And so London being that staff, then me being the joint staff, I had kids that was looking up to me to do better and to stay out of trouble, showing the right way to do things. And so me seeing London do it all the time always made me want to be like, hey man, I can do that. So if he can do it, I can do it. Then I got kids knowing that I know for a fact they always watching me. So that helped out a lot because it kept them out of trouble as well, and it kept me out of trouble.
That's good. So I know that a lot of times when we talk about young people, we always talk about keeping out of trouble.
Yeah.
Right. But there's some other factors about junior staff that I believe at Boys and Girls Clubs that our young people get, and that's like soft skills.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that in terms of being able to, the small things like the pleases and the thank yous and the yes ma'am, yes, no sir.
Yeah.
Those things that make you employable.
Those things are basically holding you accountable. Yes sir, those professional manners and stuff like that. So like learning how to clean up behind yourself or whatever. you're held to a higher standard. So if you don't clean up behind yourself, like, hey, you won't be able to do such and such things that you want to do here. Basically the same things. If you didn't clean up at home, your mom won't let you do. So why would you come here and do the same thing? So we're gonna hold you to that higher standard, to the same standard. And like I always love the fact that they did that, because like you're not just gonna come here and slack off, because that's not why you're here. You're here to educate and to basically learn to become a better person. And like those programs that were set in stone then, and they're actually still set in stone now. So that means it's making a difference. And I'm actually a product of it. So I can't be more proud of it.
Wow. We have about 2 minutes before we take a quick commercial break.
Okay.
But I want to talk a little bit about you being a police officer in your community.
Okay.
Because even as I sit across from you now, I'm just super impressed. Number one, you're a young African-American male in your community. And I have several questions. Okay. And so I know we have a short show, so I can't ask you everything I want to ask you. But I want to know, how has your community accepted you, number one, as a police officer? And two, how have you accepted the role as a police officer in your community?
Okay, well, I'm going to start off with the second question. That them accepting me, I love it. Just going to a call or just stepping out in the community, or it's easier for them to approach me, and they love seeing me. All I see is smiles every day. Even if I'm working at night, I still see smiles if I run into somebody like that I previously don't even know, but I've seen this person multiple times in the community. So me talking to them is a lot easier versus me talking to someone that I probably don't even know, like, what is this person, like, what is on his mind? Even though half of the calls we don't know what's on their mind, it's just that they're more open to come talk to me versus another officer, because I am a familiar face that they see on a daily basis. Even if I'm in uniform or not in uniform, someone knows who I am. And me being an identical twin, having an identical twin, it made it a lot easier. Like, oh, you Chris? No, that's Joe. Right. But hey, can I talk to you? Yeah, you can talk to me. So that helps out a lot, being in the community a lot, them seeing my face. So like, I haven't experienced any negativity thus far. But so thus far, it's just been all smiles and giggles, man. I love talking to my community. I love talking to them.
That's awesome. I know that there's going to be some more questions I want to ask you in terms of your role in the community, being a police officer, being an upstanding citizen in the community, and working. And when we come back from that commercial break, I want to just have some open dialogue about
No problem.
that. All right, thank you. So I just want to spend a couple minutes just talking to you about our Learning Launchpad. Through CARES Act in St. Lucie County, we have been able to offer free care for your children during this COVID time. If you give us a call, or you go to the Children's Services website, or go to the Boys and Girls Club website, you will see we have plenty openings for those who would like to send their kids to our morning program that will allow your children to continue their schoolwork during this time.
The free Learning Launchpad is a great resource for your student and family. They get to attend online classes with qualified staff. Learning Launchpad is available to qualified St. Lucie Public Schools My School students whose families have been impacted by COVID-19. Benefits of attending include on-site support, trained staff, and meals are provided. Each location follows CDC safety guidelines. To see if you qualify, contact Boys and Girls Clubs of St. Lucie County at bgcofslc.org or call 460-9918.
We're back, Joe. Okay. Well, I wanted to finish off our conversation about the importance of your role in the community. And, there's been lots of conversations throughout the country about how should policing be done. And I won't make the questions difficult.
Okay.
But how policing should be done versus, someone who actually lives in the community. Are they going to do the right thing because they know people who live in the community? Or are they going to make those mistakes because, they don't want, somebody they grew up with, they're going to get them in trouble now, right? But one of the things that I know about being in the Boys and Girls Clubs, even as a CEO, I think there's a sense that we're going to do things with integrity, and we're going to be credible. So I want to hear it from you, and I think anyone that hears this, they're going to follow your career over the next 20, 30 years. I think they're going to want to hear that from you, is your credibility and your integrity to the people you're going to be serving in Fort Pierce.
Okay. Serving in Fort Pierce is feel like since being born and raised here, me versus someone that hasn't lived here, not a familiar face in the community, you're going to be held to a higher standard. And so right now, I know for a fact I'm being held to a higher standard. When I get out of my police car, all eyes come to me because I am a familiar face. So that level of respect and integrity is still going to be there, and they're going to look for me to show that while I'm there. And so me being who I am, how I grew up, is I have to show that to my people. And my community, they expect that out of me on a daily basis, every single day. So there's no slacking off once I put my uniform on. Even when I'm out of uniform, there's no slacking off. I still got to be that professional, respectful officer that they grew up seeing in the community, and now that seeing that person is serving them now. So me going to a call or whatever the case may be, they still look for me to be that same person every day, and I will be that same person every day to them.
I think you hit it right in the head. You said it, right? They expect it, and then you ended by saying, I will be that person that is going to be someone that people can look up to. When you look at Boys and Girls Clubs today versus when you went to Boys and Girls Clubs, it might seem like so long ago now, right?
Not that young ago, man. Not that old.
Not that old, right? I want to talk about some of the programs, and what are your thoughts on what you would like to see, and maybe you're speaking for maybe the teen generation, and maybe even some of the young kids that you would like to see us do more of in the upcoming years.
Okay, so those like for instance, like we touched bases on the Passport to Manhood. I remember having a baby thank it over program. That little baby doll ran me crazy. And it really made me think, like, is this what I want right now at an early age? It wasn't, because I didn't have my first child until I was 24. So it made me, those type of programs, it made me like think like for my future. Another program we had was, I think it was like a financial management type of program, and it helped you manage your money. And as an adult, that's something you will need to do, manage your money. Those type of financial programs, they helped out a lot also. We also had like doing summer jobs while you're in school. It helped you basically work while you're on summer break to earn a certain amount of money so you can help provide school clothes, school supplies, whatever the case may be. We had those programs, and those programs helped out a lot because, like I said, it taught you a lot, from Passport to Manhood to Baby Think It Over. Those all programs that can help you out later on in the future as being an adult. So,
yeah, I like that. And as we continue to look at new programs for Boys and Girls Clubs, we want to make sure that it's relevant till today. And I like those programs that you just mentioned. Some of the other things that we've recognized as the Boys and Girls Clubs is that it's great to give you the program, but now we need to give you the application. Now kids want to make money, and they want to be able to know that for whatever their reason is. Even when I was a young kid or a young teenager, I wanted to be able to earn my own money so that I could buy my own school clothes, buy my sneakers, my tennis shoes, or whatever it is that made me happy at that time. And so I know that Boys and Girls Clubs, you'll be proud to know, is that we're putting a big emphasis on teenagers and making sure that teens get opportunities to learn and earn money. Okay. We want to keep them learning. We want to keep them in school, but we want to continue to work with partners out there that will allow the teens to work while they're in school. One of the programs that is coming up soon is Learn and Earn food truck. Okay. And so you're going to see this big, beautiful food truck coming through Fort Pierce, Port St. Lucie, throughout the county, and it's going to give kids an opportunity to become certified in food service. We're working with both Indian River State College and Kaiser University to see if we can get them some certifications. We're going to be working with St. Lucie Public Schools to also see are there some available certifications. And they have an awesome culinary program already.
Yes, they do.
at Central, I believe, and
Yes,
so
it's
we're
at
going to
Central.
be at Central.
Yes.
And so we're gonna work with them so that these kids could learn how to cook, learn how to serve, learn how to market their business, learn the financial literacy that you talk about. So we're gonna really put some teeth in to what the teens could get going in the future.
That's awesome.
That sounds good.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. That's very awesome, man. And like you said, it teach them later on in life, like, I've learned this stuff, so why won't I apply it to somewhere else? Like, learning it as a kid, like, it goes a long ways. Because now they're in that interest mode, like, what are you doing type of thing. So by you applying programs like that, it's going to show them, like, hey, man, I can do this later on in life. It's always going to give them something else to fall back on.
For sure, definitely. Also, we are working on some entrepreneurial programs too. So we had Everglades lawn. I can't remember the exact name of the company, but they donated us 2 riding lawnmowers.
Okay.
And we've had some other companies donate some opportunities for us too, that we're going to be able to give kids those opportunities so that they can maybe start their little business. So just earn good, healthy money.
Yes.
And we want to teach them, as you said, financial literacy now, learning how to open up a bank account, learning how to spend a certain amount of money, in different spaces, saving their money.
Saving their money.
Saving it, right? Because when young people get their money, sometimes they want to spend it all because they know some more may be coming.
Exactly.
So, anything else you want to talk about that your time in the Boys and Girls Clubs that has helped you as an adult and even helped you in your role as a police officer?
Yes. Growing up in Fort Pierce is a very diverse community. But also attending the Boys and Girls Clubs was a very, very diverse. And when I hit 18 years old, Boys and Girls Club actually became my first job. They actually gave my first job. So I was thankful to have that. And I started working at CHU, was another location in Port St. Lucie. Then I came back to Fort Pierce and I worked at another 3 different locations. But not just speaking of that, like, I met different staff, different cultures, different kids. So everyone that I came in contact, they came from a different area of this country, city, whatever the case was. Everyone had a different story. So to help transition to becoming a cop, it was a lot easier because, for one, I already hit on meeting people that's from diverse communities. So it's easier for me to come and communicate with them versus me not even knowing how to approach this person. So that helped out a lot, just transitioning to becoming a cop, being very sociable person. And so that helps out a lot now because, for one, I always smile. I can't stop smiling for some reason. I love to smile. I love to talk. That's me. I can talk about basically anything. You put a topic on the desk, I talk about it. So just being able to be sociable with other people transitioned easily into the community for me.
That's awesome. I'm sure that Chief Hobley Burney is proud of you, and your team is proud because, I think just because of the uniform in itself, it really is one of those uniforms that you're not supposed to smile, or at least that's what people think, right? That you're not supposed to be happy. But you completely are showing that's not true.
No, not at all.
I can be an officer, I can make people do the right thing, and I can still smile at it at the end of the day. So that's pretty impressive. When you look at our teens, I want to spend the last few minutes just kind of talking about our teens and our community. When you look at just the different types of teens, what are your thoughts in terms of what we should be doing more of as a community to make sure that teens are living a healthy lifestyle, that they're on track for graduation, and that they're building good character and leadership?
Guidance and mentorship, really. Guidance and mentorship goes a long way. Just stopping the teen, asking them how their day going, it goes a long way because they're the ones that bought a lot of stuff in. I'm a product of it. I won't say nothing to you if you don't ask me about it. If you don't ask me about it, there's nothing to say to you. I can walk around with a smile on my face, but deep down inside, it's something more that's going on inside. And today's teens, even back then teens, even me, it was just hard for me to just even say anything about it if nobody didn't ask me about it. Okay, I'm not going to say nothing about it. So just us showing that the guidance and mentorship that, hey, you have someone to always come back to and talk to, goes a long way. And that's why I spoke up about London Reeves, because I've been through some situations where I needed someone to talk to outside of my family, my immediate family. And he was always that person that no matter what time it was, 3 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the evening, he picked up his phone or he sent me a text message, hey, I'm gonna call you back. So just like we met about this show, and I talked to him about it. He was in a conference call at the time. Hey, I call you back. I talked to him later on that day, and we talked about it. So it's just that having that person that you can always turn around and talk to, and that's by us as an adults now, that telling this teenager, hey man, you want to talk, we can talk. Whatever the case may be, just pull me to the side and we'll talk about it. It's just letting them know that, hey, someone's always going to be there. I'll be there if no one else is going to be there. And I think we got to really show that and voice that more. And we probably don't do it as much as we should, but I think going forward, that should be implemented a lot. We don't pull our teens to the side and ask them, hey, how was your week? Is there anything you want to talk about it? And sometimes they rather write it down or text it to a friend. And we can get them to open up to us about it. It'll speak a lot of volume, because now we know what's going on. We know the options we have with this team. What options should we give them to help them how to deal with this? So that is like something I would implement.
That's awesome, and I appreciate you saying that, because I agree with you. There's so many teens, there's so much going on, and you're right, a lot of teens may not come out and tell you exactly what they need. We have about a minute and a half left. I want to talk about, I want you to give some shout outs to the work you do.
Okay.
And I want people to know about the Fort Pierce Police Department. So if you could take this next minute to talk about Fort Pierce Police Department, that'd be great.
Okay. From the day I did my swearing, from the day I signed the paper saying that I was going to come to work at Fort Pierce, it started off with the recruiters, Clemie Smith and Brian Avila. They was popping up to my academy, talking to me and everything. And then once they found out I was a homegrown kid, it was like, hey man, Fred Ball, man, what's up, man? Let's come talk to me. So they was just showing me every day that they would care, that they care. Even though when the COVID came, I was still getting text messages, hey, how we doing? We still studying and everything like that. So just by them doing that, it let me know the level of interest that they had in me. Then when I came on and I signed on with the chief and everything, I sat down, me and her had a conversation, and she was telling me about the level of understanding that the community is going to have towards me, them seeing me out there, and she was so welcoming, seeing me out there. Then I met a few officers, Brian Gonzalez, Gene. It's a couple of officers that I met, and they just welcomed me with open arms. If we got to a call and maybe I didn't know how to handle this call, they showed me how to handle this call. And going forward, like, it was always like, hey man, like, I would have done this different, or I would have done that different, or whatever. So it was always someone out there showing me the right way how to do things. Then when we did go to a call and I knew that person and that person wouldn't talk to this officer, it was easier for me to talk to this person or to get that person to talk to that officer.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being with us today. I'm super excited that Joe is not only a product of the Boys and Girls Clubs, but he's bringing all that back into his community. And it's awesome to be able to work close with our law enforcement. So thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.